Peoples in Canada, including First Nations, Métis, and Inuit communities, have historically faced lower levels of educational attainment compared to the broader population. Several factors contribute to this disparity. Historical challenges. Indigenous peoples in Canada have endured colonization, forced relocation, and policies such as residential schools that separated children from their families and cultures. These institutions banned Indigenous languages and cultural practices, creating a significant disconnection from their heritage. The trauma caused by these schools continues to affect Indigenous communities, leading to enduring educational barriers. Geographic challenges. Many Indigenous communities are located in remote or rural regions, where access to quality education and resources is limited. The lack of adequate infrastructure and transportation options further hinders students from regularly attending school and fully participating in their education. Solution: the government should invest in building schools in these underserved areas to improve access to education. Socioeconomic challenges. High rates of poverty, inadequate housing, and food insecurity are common in many Indigenous communities, which can significantly impact students' academic performance. The stress caused by these socioeconomic conditions can make it harder for students to focus on their education and complete their studies. Cultural disparities. The Canadian education system has often been criticized for being disconnected from the cultures, languages, and perspectives of Indigenous peoples. This lack of cultural relevance can make it more difficult for Indigenous students to engage with and find meaning in their education. Systemic discrimination. Indigenous students often face racial discrimination and biases within the education system. These experiences can negatively affect their academic performance, self-esteem, and overall sense of belonging, which can further contribute to poor educational outcomes. Government efforts. Both Indigenous communities and the Canadian government are working towards addressing these issues. The government has taken steps to improve access to education by providing funding for Indigenous schools, increasing scholarships for post-secondary students, and creating programs that integrate Indigenous knowledge and perspectives into mainstream curricula. While progress is being made, significant gaps still exist, and more work is needed to achieve equitable education outcomes for Indigenous students. Raising awareness. It is crucial to raise awareness about the challenges Indigenous students face in the education system. One way to do this is by sharing information through social media, videos, and community events. Supporting Indigenous-led organizations and educational initiatives is also vital for improving outcomes. Additionally, advocating for policy reforms and better educational opportunities for Indigenous students is an important step toward addressing these disparities. Volunteering your time or donating to organizations focused on Indigenous education can also help make a difference. By spreading awareness and supporting efforts to improve education for Indigenous communities, we can work toward closing the educational gap and creating a more equitable society. Help us spread awareness for the troubles within Indigenous schooling. Here are some websites and organizations to check out to learn more about this topic, as well as to raise money with the charities linked under the video as well as on my profile. Thank you for taking time out of your day and share this video with your friends and family to get the word out and help us raise money.